when I pick up Michael on all the time, where he was like, "I need to do this." I'm like, "No, you want to do this." I'm like, "Is there a gun to your head?" I don't see the gun, so it's like and it's like it's just changing, like, because essentially your words is going to dictate your actions. So if you're like, "Oh, I can't do a muscle up. I'm never going to get a muscle up," you're not going to get a muscle up because you're not going to try, because your habits, the way that you speak, is basically saying, "I will never get this." But if you're like, "I can't do a muscle up at the moment, but one day I will be able to." That's just reframing the same thing you just said. I haven't got the ability to do it yet. And it's having that mindset. And that works with everything. It's like, well, I'm not the weight I want to be, but I'm doing everything it requires me to do. Well, I'm doing every step that needs to happen to get me from where I am now to where I want to be. Welcome back to the Unbound podcast. Today's episode is all about mindset and how to frame your mindset in a way to turn your words into actions. Let's talk about mindset.
Yep.
Mindset, so a topic we haven't actually really covered yet. Mindset in reference to CrossFit, whether it's competing, showing up to the gym, even just like your outside life that's going to directly affect your inside life in the gym. I guess where we start is an individual's mindset to their performance or their ability to do things. So if I come to the gym and I'm like, I'm not very confident, I'm like, I don't really know what to do, especially like first time CrossFitters, they're always like they're always so nervous. Like, oh my God, there's so many movements. I don't know what an AMRAP is. What would you be saying to those people who have just started CrossFit, don't know where to go, don't know what to do? Is there any sources you'd lead them to? Is there anything that you would tell them to help them overcome that initial fear?
I mean, there's a couple of strategies I've used before. It depends on the individual. There has been some clients where that if they come in and they go for the class for the first time, it's going to be too much and they're just going to be gone. Yeah. For a lot of them, it's probably just general habits, bad habits that they've built. One that I've done before is get them to just come down and either just sit in the car, all right, for the duration of the class, just be up and get used to the kind of time slot, or getting to the gym and then coming back. The other one is just sitting on the bike and watching the class. So I've had clients before where I'm like, all right, for the first week, like, you're quite anxious, you're quite a nervous person. Just come in and familiarize yourself with the environment, the loud noises, the amount of people, but not necessarily be in the thick of it. And then slowly introduce them into it. It's a slow process mindset. It's something that you can't just change overnight. It's going to take a lot of deliberate strategy. For myself, it's normally I've got to gamify things. All right, so if I gamify things, then I will almost become competitive with myself. So I'll be like, you should not be doing this. I need to take the other option. If I don't gamify it, then I generally tend to make the poorer decision, or the less beneficial decision at the time. That's for me personally. I don't know about you. You probably have some different ones with clients.
Yeah, I don't know. I prefer to get them in. Like, get them into the class, get them involved. I might just give them a little bit more attention, obviously. But the other thing is, like, especially with those, so I'll talk about this in a sec, but I think there's two or three types of people that come in and the mindset's in a bad place, right? So the first one and the most, like, one we see the most often is that it's more a scared thing. They're fearful. The movements are new. They don't know what's happening, and that's overwhelming. It's like it's not paralysis by overanalysis, but it is like it's just too much, right? So for those people, oftentimes I feel like just kind of holding their hand through things is a lot easier. Making sure that they know that it's okay to adjust things, and it's okay if it doesn't look exactly like what they're doing is exactly what's written on the board. So it's appropriate scaling, right? But just making sure that they know that, hey, I know it says ring muscle ups on there, but I have zero expectation of you doing those. And I think a big thing is making sure that they know it's okay. I can't tell you how often I hear it from people. They're like, sorry. And I'm like, why? Why? You have nothing to be sorry about. Like, this is literally your third class. This is completely new. I have, it's fine. it's the same as if I went into like a freaking I don't know, a ballet class. I don't know what I mean, I know what a pirouette is, but I don't know what any of the other fancy things are. Like, I'm going to be completely lost, and I'll be like, you know. And just, yeah, making sure that those people don't feel wrong for not knowing. So that's those ones. They just require a lot of attention, a lot of time, and that's fine. It's our jobs, right? Again, I've had people say, "Oh, sorry for taking all your time." I'm like, "No, it's fine. Like, it's literally my job. Like, that's why I'm here." The other one, and I see this as well, is the ones that come in with a bad mindset, where they don't want to learn. They just want to do. Right? They don't want to slow down. They don't want to be scaled back. And I normally see it from people that have come from another gym, like a PLC or a BFT, whatever it is, or F45, even World Gym, and they've had no one experienced watching them move. And especially like we have it with PLC, where they come over and they've been doing clean and jerks at PLC, but they haven't. They've been doing a pick the bar up to your shoulders and press kind of thing. And those people kind of need to be grabbed and said, hey, like,
slow down.
That's wrong. I don't know what they were teaching you there, but you know, this is what I want you to do. But we kind of have to do it in a way that that shifts their mindset from being like, I know how to do this, to okay, I'm a beginner. I need to learn. So it's that beginner's mindset, right? And just trying to get people to switch over that way. I think that is pretty helpful for that sort of demographic and group of people.
Yeah, let me refine technique and become more efficient and learn these little things around it.
The other one, sorry to cut you off, the other one that I found pretty useful, and you have to have conversations with people to figure this out, but a lot of people need a friend. So we have members here that I know that I can grab and be like, hey, have you met such and such? They are new. Could you keep an eye on them, right? Or I'll just introduce them. And those people know that I'm doing that for that reason, that without me having to tell them. And they'll sort of help those people and just make them feel comfortable and welcome. Because I think that's the other thing, right, is like, you come into, let's say, our 4:30 p.m. class. That's a pretty busy class. There are groups of people in there that are all friends, and they're loud and they talk and
they've been training together for years.
Yeah. So you come in, you're new, you've never done CrossFit before, you've done one of your onboarding sessions, and you're like, holy shit, right? And it's crazy. So sometimes getting that person a buddy is helpful, I think, as well.
It's a really good way to just kind of make people feel a bit more comfortable. Something like, hey, the 15 kilo bars are over there.
Yes.
It's the little things. It's going to be interesting because, like, you talking about that process and how people are anxious or fearful. Even for us, I don't think that goes away. So an example is, like, we're about to start doing some dance lessons. Like, so I'll be able to give you guys a bit more context around how that goes. But it's the same feelings for us.
Yeah.
It's like we're stepping into a foreign environment. We don't know anyone. And it'd be interesting to see how they deal with it.
Yeah.
But we always feel that. Like, I don't think that's ever going to go away.
No.
But it's just not a reason not to participate.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to. One of the worst things we do as humans, once we finish, it tends to be finished schooling, is we stop learning things. Like, I always my brother's at uni right now, right? He's doing engineering and it's fucking hard. And he's always like, this is dumb. I'm never going to use this. I'm not going to use this. And I keep trying to explain to him that, like, hey, yes, you're here to learn this content and learn this stuff, but you're also here to learn how to learn and to learn to keep learning, right? That's one of the huge things that I think school as a whole does for people, especially like, I haven't used fucking Pythagoras' theorem or trigonometry in years, but the process of learning that, again, just teaches you learning, right? So we stop doing that, having these things where we go in and we do some fitness, or people go to BJJ is a really big one now, like dance. You are learning, and that's the huge thing, right? That's what all these freaking like brain games are for, and that kind of thing. Is you're learning, you're recognizing patterns, you're not going through the motions. So yeah, I think that's the big thing with people is they need to, mindset wise, is they need to continually be okay with, hey, I'm learning stuff. Like I need to. That's always learn.
And part of that means you're starting off not being capable,
Yeah.
or not being competent, and you're trying to become competent.
Yeah, exactly.
So in terms of, let's say, yourself then, is there any strategies you use? For example, like one that we hear a lot of the time is like, make sure you make your bed in the morning. So it's like you're trying to start off your day by ticking off a task, and then you're more likely to go and put yourself in a scenario now as well where you're going to start ticking off other things. What do you personally use?
For me, I feel like something pretty useful is I'm gonna forget what it's called, but it's like pairing habits or coupling habits, right? So if you have something you always do, it's like, so this one's kind of funny and I'll get laughed at for it, but I'm trying to improve my squat position, my mobility in my squat. So every day when I brush my teeth, I sit in a squat and I brush my teeth. And I get shit from my wife for it because it doesn't matter whether I'm clothed or not, I still do it. So you can picture what that looks like. But things like that. So it's habit coupling, right? And putting something that you're already going to do with something else. Like I am trying to spend more time. Again, this is mobility related, but I'm trying to do more mobility. So trying to couple that with outside time or something like that I can take a habit I already have that I already do and associate it with something else that I want to do.
So watch your anime while you stretch.
Yes, exactly. Watch TV while I stretch. I have to walk my dog every day, and I'm trying to get, in the evenings I want to get sun, so I try to do the two of them together. I think that works pretty well. It's very hard to force yourself to do something new. You can obviously use habit trackers and that kind of thing, but there's an accountability that has to come with that as well, right? Like if you're not accountable to it, then there's no reason you won't. That's why I can't use something like that, because I'd need someone else to check it and be like, hey, you haven't done this today. Because I'd be like, oh, well, didn't do it today. I'll do it tomorrow.
And that's like you said with the buddy thing works like that too. Hey, you didn't turn up to the gym today. Where were you?
Exactly. So, yeah, it's like we've spoken to people about before where they get injured and they're like, oh, I'm going to take some time off. I'm like, no, don't do that. Keep coming in, do something, and kind of like you said with how to get them to start, like sit in the car, but you have to put something in that place, where you would be training. You need to come and go for a walk. Yeah, even if you come to the gym and go for a walk around the block, you're not actually at the gym, but it's keeping that slot open for the habit that you usually would have there. Because I stopped going to the gym, and between the hours of 7 and 9:30, instead of going to the gym, I watch TV. What's going to happen when I have to go back to the gym?
Yeah,
right. I'm not going to want to. So it's things like that, maintaining your habits regardless. Yeah. I feel like we've turned this more into a habits discussion than a mindset.
It's part of mindset. At least I would agree it would be part of mindset. I think another one on top of that is what you say. So your words.
The words you use.
Yeah.
I have to go to the gym. I get to go to the gym. That's what we hear it all the time.
When I pick up Michael on all the time, where he was like, I need to do this. I'm like, no, you want to do this. Yeah. I'm like, is there a gun to your head? I don't see the gun. So it's like, it's just changing, like, because essentially your words is going to dictate your actions. So if you're like, oh, I can't do a muscle up, I'm never going to get a muscle up. Yeah. You're not going to get a muscle up because you're not going to try it, because your habits, the way that you speak is basically saying, I will never get this. Yeah. But if you're like, I can't do a muscle up at the moment, but one day I will be able to. Yeah. That's just reframing the same thing you just said. I haven't got the ability to do it yet. Yeah. Yep. And it's having that mindset. And that works with everything. It's like, well, I'm not the weight I want to be, but I'm doing everything it requires me to do. Well, I'm doing every step that needs to happen to get me from where I am now to where I want to be. And even just having that framed mindset, it can change your perception. So like you guys were talking about, like, I'm anxious, I'm new to the gym, I don't know anyone. You got someone that come up straight away, like, let's say Chris is my favorite example, runner-up member of the year. he is genuinely always that person that will come up to someone new and say, how are you going? How, like, you know, how's your day? Like, oh, I've never seen you before. Like, who are you? You immediately know Chris now. So at least no matter what, you're going to come in at that time and you see Chris and you're like, I know someone.
Yeah.
Apart from if you show up with a friend, which generally can be quite good, that buddy system. If you have no friends, you have no idea who anyone is, but you know Chris, at least you're going to be a little bit more confident next time you show up. Speaking about mindset, so now we've shifted from, okay, now I've like got that anxiety. I'm over the anxiety of the gym. I've got my habits in order, so I'm showing up every day and I'm making sure that I'm watching what I'm speaking. Let's say I've been coming for a couple of years now, so I'm a veteran member. Is there a change in mindset that you see from some of the veteran members, or some of the things that a lot of the veteran members do that you think that they could improve on when it comes to their mindset? Let's say around exercise, movement, nutrition, sleep, etc.
I think a lot of them, and this is kind of going to come back to what I was saying before about still having a beginner's mindset, is a lot of them get complacent in where they are. So a lot of people are like,
I can do a muscle up now. I don't need to do the drills.
I don't need to do the drills. Or a lot of people have told themselves, I'm never going to do a muscle up, or like, I can't do a muscle up, and they've just resigned themselves to it. I see it all the time with people in running. They're like, oh, running hurts me here. And I'm like, yeah, but why? You know, does that happen because you've got a knee injury, or you've got an old knee injury that flares up when you run? But could you be speaking to, a coach about how to manage that, And I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that they become complacent to where they are, and they stop trying to learn or stop trying to make themselves better, and they're quite happy sort of going through the motions. I think that's the biggest thing, is they get stuck in a going through the motions loop, and it's not that they stop trying to challenge themselves, is that they're happy with the amount that they're challenging themselves. So they don't feel like they need to do a muscle up. And you know what? Some people don't. If the people are happy not having a muscle up, that is totally fine. But don't let it be because you think you can't, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing.
It's just something that doesn't matter to you. You're focusing on other things.
Exactly.
But even, like you said, like we will know people who come in, let's say Susie's 85, all right? And we probably know Susie's never going to do a muscle up.
Yeah.
But doing some of the progression and the skills, aiming towards that, are going to correct so many different things. Like body awareness, you're going to find her midline stability improve. Like, that doesn't mean she gets nothing out of it.
Yeah.
I think a big thing with what you were saying too, you're talking about catching yourself out or changing the way you word things. For most people, if you think about how you learned how to do it, it's starting to pay attention to what other people say. So see if you can pick up on it. So when you're around your social group, see if you can pick up on how they're wording things, and almost gamifying it, where you're like, no, you get to. So you can start calling them out on it, and you'll naturally become more aware when you do it.
Yeah, careful though, because people will stop asking you to hang out with them.
Do it in a nice way.
But I do it in the gymnastics class all the time. People are like, I can't do that. I'm like, you can't do that yet. Yeah. And sometimes people are a little bit like, shut the fuck up. And they're very like,
it's too cheesy.
Yeah. They like, ugh, and they roll their eyes at you or whatever. But yeah, finding the way to sort of to do that and call people out on it. I do it all the I like asking questions. So, people will say, I hate rowing. I'm like, okay, why? Why do you hate rowing? And
hurts my back.
Yeah, it hurts my back. I'm like, okay. I'm like, do you think that maybe rowing hurts your back because you keep saying that rowing hurts your back? And I know this sounds wishy-washy, but it's fucking true. If you tell yourself that you're not good at something, or this hurts, or whatever it is, and you create this like hyper awareness of whatever it is, you make it true. I can't remember what it's called, but there's this thing about it's an actual thing. If I want a pickup truck, I want a ute. Okay, I am going to notice every single ute that drives past me on the car. It's going to seem like there's 1,000 of them, because that's what my mind's thinking about. So if I'm on a rower thinking, God, I hate this, guess what? I'm going to hate it, right? Like, so I personally don't like rowing, but I don't tell myself that while I'm rowing. I just row. It just is what it is, right? I'm not bothered about how much my butt hurts or whatever.
The fact that you got a 60-minute session on it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the stories you tell yourself. It's your own narration of your own life, right? Like, I see it all the time. I listened to it was one of the Mayhem videos with Rich Froning, and someone said something about being tired or something like that, and he's like, it's okay that you feel that way, but don't say it. He's like, shut up. And I really like that. Like, stop telling yourself that. Royce did it the other day. There's more complaining about someone else, but he was talking about how someone's like, CrossFit's hard. And he was like, it's fucking not. He's like, this isn't hard. He's like, dying of cancer is hard. Losing an arm is hard. And I was like, is that why you can
push the way
you push the way you push? Is because in your head, and I don't know if this was just Royce being like Royce, or if it's maybe that is it. Maybe that's like half the secret for some people, is like, he's like, nah, this isn't hard. This is just, I'm choosing to do this. This is whatever. This is what it is.
Perspective. Yeah.
I like the it is what it is, right? It's not anything. It just is what it is. It's again, it comes back to your own narration and your own stories. If you're telling, again, I'll repeat it. If you're saying something is hard or you hate something, you're reinforcing that feedback loop every single time. It doesn't mean you have to sit there and be like, I love this, crying while you do thrusters, going, I love this. You don't have to do that, but stop telling yourself the negative side of it too.
That was like that podcast that we listened to. We was talking about the, where they got a bit religious. Yeah.
I think also, like what Matt's saying too, like when you say you hate something, is it because like you actually hate it, or is it because you're bad at it?
Yeah.
Like I've never heard anyone, actually I've only heard one person, but he's an exclusion to this particular thing. Is, let's say for me, I'm good at bench press. I don't hate bench press because I'm good at it. I'm better than the average. But it's like, okay, I'm not so good at machines. And it's like, if I say I hate machines, is it because I actually hate it, or is it because I'm bad at it?
Yeah.
How do you get better at something? You work on it. So if I worked on machines, would I still hate it? Probably not. And on the other side of the mindset thing of how
enjoy it.
Like how perception can really like screw you over. How many lifts have you achieved when you said like, I don't think I'm going to get this?
Yeah.
Zero. Like you've literally convinced yourself you're not going to get it. You're not going to pull as hard. You're not going to go in with the mindset of like, I've got this. You're not going to give it your all. So when you actually go to lift that bar, you've already given up.
Yeah.
So it's like in my head, I'm like, I imagine it's like running the tape is what I call it. I imagine either myself or my competition lifting that same bar, and I'm like, now it's my turn.
Yeah.
They've just done it. So how come I can't do it?
So look at some of the achievements that we see. So if you look at like the sub 5 minute mile, you look at the half marathon in, was it under 2 hours? Once someone does it, there's natural belief for everyone else, and then it plays out more and more and more.
Yep.
So it's the same concept. A lot of that is exactly what we're talking about, where it's mindset. One person does it, now other people go, it's possible, and you just see that roll-on effect.
Yeah, that's like the 4 minute mile thing. There was something else that happened with that.
The back squat.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Was it 220 or something?
Something like that. But yeah, I think like sort of coming back, because it's just swapping things over, right? Like, do you hate rowing?
No.
Yeah, right. Like, and you would potentially, and I've heard you say it before. You say you suck at rowing.
Yeah.
Right. And you're not great at it, but rather than say, like in your case, it's an example, right? It's like I'm not good at rowing, but I'm working on it. It's not I suck at rowing.
Yeah.
Right.
And your rowing's got better.
I'm taking the thing and I'm leaving it open ended. I'm not just closing it as I suck at this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm working on it. Right. And that's the big thing, is having that sort of attitude of like, I'm trying to get better. I'm going to get a little bit better every single day. I'm going to find things to work on. Whereas when you get on the rower, like the rower is a really good one. When you get on the rower and you guys suck at rowing, you're not trying to find a way to get better. You're not sitting there going, okay, well, I'm pulling 900 cal an hour right now and it burns like hell. How can I make this 900 cal an hour feel better? And a lot of people just get stuck in this like, yep, it is what it is. I'm coming back to it is what it is, but in a bad way, right? So they're not looking for ways to get better. I did a fucking 30-minute echo bike time trial on Monday while wearing a weight vest. And it was miserable. And all I did the whole time was stare at the RPM and made sure it stayed within 64 to 66 RPM. And while I was on there, I was paying attention to what my arms and legs were doing that felt better and easier. So when I was not pulling back on the pedals, my legs were blowing up and my arms were tired. When I was actually trying to move more cyclically rather than just push, I was better. But the point I'm trying to make is that like I found something in there to work on or to get better with.
Yeah, and the thing is you were mindful and present is probably the biggest thing. You weren't looking for a distraction.
Exactly.
And that's the trap that we all fall into. We're just looking for something where we're like, I just want to switch off.
It's discomfort, right? It's why we pick up our phones when we're supposed to be working. When work gets challenging, you have this uncomfortable feeling, and you try to escape it by distracting yourself. It's how we work, and just trying to bring yourself back and take away that trigger. Like I have to do it now when I'm programming. My phone sits in my drawer because when I do hit a stump and I'm like, shit, and I'm trying to think of something, I pick up my phone, and it's like, and I catch myself doing it, and I'm like, oh crap, and I put it away again. So now, I put it in a drawer, I leave it in another room. But it's the same thing in training, right? Like we start looking for distractions, we start looking around, we're like, stop being focused.
The running's an example. Yeah. Rather than going and now having to be present and work on some of the mechanical dysfunctions you have that maybe cause the pain, you just jump on the bike because you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
I think covering on that is like awareness, intention, action. Like you're aware that there's a problem, so your back hurts when you run. If your intention is just to avoid running, then there's no action that's going to be like you're never going to get better. You're always going to have a bad back. So it's like, okay, I'm aware that I have a bad back from running. How can I fix this? So my intention is to fix it. What am I actually going to do? What am I going to put in place to get it fixed? Am I going to go see a physio? I'm going to talk to my coach about things that I can do, expose myself to a bit more running, but strengthen the back in a way that it's going to allow me to do that again. It's the same with any movement. Like the rowing thing is for forever. I've been like, holy shit. Like everyone is better than me at rowing. Like literally everyone. Girls were out rowing me. And I was so frustrated, but my thing was I kept playing around with it. I was like, well, why? Why are girls rowing faster than me? Like, where is my advantage? And I worked out that I just don't have as long of a pull as everyone. So instead of worrying about how far I can pull back, I was like, well, I've got long arms. Why don't I just pull closer?
Yeah.
And that seemed to do the trick. Like now I'm getting off the rower at the same pace as the average guy, which, I mean, is an improvement. I mean, I think Matt walked past my rower months ago and he's like, holy fuck, you're slow rowing. I literally looked next to me and Haley was out rowing me. I was like, God damn it. But it was just like, if you let that affect you and if you're like, well, I'm just going to be forever the worst rower ever, which I've had that mindset sometimes. Like it's been depressing, but my ability to be aware that it was a problem
and what you chose to do with that.
And now that I've implemented that technique that it seems to work for me, because it won't work for everyone, but it seems to work for me. Some other people have also indirectly been affected. Like Mel's a big one. She was exactly the same as me. She does my rowing technique now, and someone complimented her about rowing so well.
Yeah.
And we're both like, but we're notoriously trash rowers. So like that's like the biggest compliment to get is like the biggest deficiency that we had. We got compliment on it. So. Yeah. I think, mindset's an interesting one. It's a forever thing that you need to always be working on. Being aware of what you're saying, being aware of how you're saying things and what you're doing. Then from there is being accountable for your actions. I guess not like just being like, oh, fuck this, I suck. Being like, okay, well, I suck. What am I doing about it?
Yeah.
And I think like and then like calling out people. Like if you hear the mindset in your friend group, because you're a direct representation of the 5 closest people around you.
Yeah.
Do you want to sound negative all the time if your whole friend group's negative? But if you call them out, you're the one starting change. You're taking that action that's required.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add on mindset?
No, I like that. I think, yeah, the story you tell yourself's huge. The other side to it is like, it's like an identity shift, right? Do you want to be the person that chooses to sit on the couch instead of comes into the gym? Do you want to be the person that gives up? Do you want to be like, is that you? And unfortunately, the sad thing is, I know that I could have that conversation with some people and they would be like, well, I don't care. They're like, I'm fine being this person. And I don't feel like they're lost. It just means you have to kind of ask better questions and help them a little bit more, coax them a little bit more. Actually, this is kind of a different topic, but I think that's actually a pretty big thing, is like trying to understand somebody else. It's being empathic, right? It's trying to understand somebody else's perspective. Hear it all the time. People are like, they're like, oh, it's me. I'm like, no, maybe it's not. You're like, offense is taken, not given, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's understanding why someone feels a certain way and being like, okay, well shit. How can I help that? Like I've been trying to do that when me and Lisa like don't agree on something, or if we're getting into an argument, I'm like, okay, I need to understand where she's coming from. It doesn't mean I have to agree, but I need to try and make an effort to understand her perspective. And the other thing on that react thing is like Ben Bergeron says, it's like he's like respond, don't react, which I think is cool, because react is like
emotionally driven.
It's not impulsive. It's whatever it is. It's like instinctual. Whereas responding requires thought. You've got to slow down for a second, and I think that's pretty important, especially in difficult conversations, or especially where it's bad.
Yeah, we all need to work on it.
Yeah,
I think it's something that everyone should always be working on.
100%. So that's going to cover our mindset podcast. That's going to be episode 15 of the Unbound Unleashed podcast, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Hopefully see Matt there back again for another appearance. Thanks for watching the Unbound podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below any questions you have for the next podcast. We'll see you soon.